Hello. It's a big stage. It's a big screen. Yeah, let's jump right in. I'll quickly introduce myself. I have a couple of questions for you that I'll share. But yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you for having me. My name's Mark, the co-founder here at Aethir. At Aethir, we build distributed GPU infrastructure for gaming and AI companies. Essentially, we make it easier than ever before for AI companies to access critical GPU resources such that they can build really cool AI models or AI applications.
Yep, cool. So hi guys, I am Yukai. So I am the CTO of CARV. So for CARV, yeah, we are building identity and data layer for gaming, AI, and more sectors. So yeah, nice to be here.
Yeah, we do a lot in the gaming space as well. We've partnered a lot with CARV on a number of different pieces of that. But just so everyone's clear on where we sit from a gaming standpoint, we have a big GPU cloud. That GPU cloud provides resources for AI companies, like I mentioned, but it also provides cloud gaming resources. So that's a form of technology where you take a game and you actually install the game on the cloud and you stream the game to users in a way that means the game doesn't need to be processed on the local device. You can essentially play any game on any device at 4K resolution. It doesn't matter whether you've got the oldest PC or the oldest phone. You can literally play anything on any device. So that's really cool. It's empowering gamers to access content regardless of their economic status. But a really, really cool tech, and one that you can only really scale globally on the back of a distributed GPU cloud, mostly from a unit economics perspective. But I thought we'd jump in because something that really surprised me when I heard, maybe I shouldn't say surprised, something that really impressed me when I heard about it was you guys are kind of the top project from an engagement perspective on DApp radar, right? It's insane how many on-chain transactions and interactions you guys are getting. Can you maybe explain that to me, and how did you guys get such good engagement?
Yeah, sure. So for CARV, what we are trying to do is we monetize user data. So if you think about the data today, so all the data it belongs to the big company like Google and Facebook and etc. So they thought they have your data. They monetize your data and you produce the data, but you are not the owner of the data, right? So this is completely wrong, I think, in Web 2, and then I think this can be changed in Web 3. Like the users, they should be the owner of their data. So that's how we try to find the right angle, try to monetize the user data and create value from the user data for both like users and business. So by doing so, we find the first very interesting case is gaming. So first, there are a lot of gamers, right? And then they are willing to play video games and willing to see the value outcome of their plays. And then for the games, right now they're also willing to pay a lot to acquire users. I think this is getting harder right now, especially right now. You cannot get the data from like iOS system. Also, there's a lot of privacy policy out there. So it's getting more and more expensive for the games to do the user acquisition. So this is the first angle we find to do the gaming. So I think right now we partner with over 900 different games, including like Web 2 and Web 3. So that's why we can reach out to over like 4 million registered users right now on CARV Play. So this is not only just Web 3 users, but include a lot of Web 2 users, and we provide different kind of service to those users. So I think, yeah, if you look at all the traffic, right now we are the top one social DApp on DApp radar, and we also like the top one on Linear and ZK-Sync, and also the number 2 on Roni and OBBNB. So we have all the gamers, they do different kind of activity on-chain. So I think that's why right now we are getting a lot of users, and you can see the on-chain activity is keep going up because of the power of the gamers and then how we can use those data to power both gamers and games. So right now we also got like over 4 million USD revenue in the past few months, just because we got the first is from the user side. They mint the NFT. They need to pay us for a certain fee to get the token minted. Right now, we only charge like 0.5 USD for per NFT, but it already give us like over 2 million revenue. On the other side, the games, Web3 games and Web2 games, they're also willing to pay us to do user acquisition. So I think both sides contribute a lot to both like on-chain activity and also our revenue. So yeah.
Yeah, customer acquisition for games, particularly Web3 games, is a massive challenge because in most cases, Web3 games are restricted from distributing through main publishing channels like the App Store, the Google Play Store, Steam. How do you guys go about addressing that? And how are you able to kind of affect their customer acquisition funnels?
Yeah, so like I said, we try to use user data to power the user acquisition. So the thing we did is like we were going to allow users to connect their Web2 or Web3 identity. So one example is we allow users to connect their Steam account. So we got all the users' Steam account information, including what kind of games they play, and what kind of like how much money they put on the games. So this is how we can use those data to power the Web3 games, try to do the acquisition because they need to understand the users more. So this is from the Web2 perspective. On Web3 perspective, we also monitor the data from over 40 like different blockchains. So we can understand users' behavior on all the Web3 games. So I think on both sides, like we will be able to help the games to find the right users, and they are willing to pay for it. And then on the other side, we'll also help the game to do the publish through the CarV. So this is how we try to connect the dots. So.
Once they have this information, how do they target the users?
That's a great question. So because it is on Web3, so everything on Web3 need to be able to be proved, right? So when they are doing the user targeting, we need to first make sure all the data is trackable and provable on-chain. And only second-hand, because it's also on-chain, we cannot leak user data. So that also have a very high privacy requirement regarding the user targeting. So when we are doing this, so we have a whole kind of protocol, try to do the thing, including the user identification and the data authentication, also the data storage, data processing, and data proof. So we have the whole process, try to make sure like we identify the users, we authenticate their data, and then once their data being stored and processed, we can prove all this stuff on-chain. Ideally, we also wanted to make sure like the privacy can be preserved. So we also use offline trusted encryption environment, try to make sure all the data being processed, there is going to be attestation being generated and posted on-chain to be proved by any party on-chain. So by doing so, like we can share the data, process the data on-chain, and all the business, they come to the platform, they can kind of list all the requirements for their user targeting, right? I wanted to target for a user who play FPS game a lot, they put so much money on on a certain FPS game. They publish all the information, and then this is on our protocol, try to find the right user, deliver the right users to the protocol. And through our protocol with like privacy preserved and provable process. So this is how the whole kind of process works. Yeah.
Interesting. And it's great to reflect on the success you've had in utilizing DApp Radar and those other platforms, because for a lot of people wouldn't understand this, but when you go and you chat with the big exchanges, right, there's a couple of things that they primarily look for. Right, one is, I would call them signals, right? They're not things that they kind of necessarily have written down black and white, but they're signals that they want to see, right? One key signal is like, who have been your lead investors, or who are the key investors within your different rounds? Another signal is social engagement, right? What do your socials look like? What's your community look like? But another one, and a very important one, and one that a lot of projects struggle to activate, is these on-chain engagements, right? Do you have any advice for projects that are maybe getting hints from exchanges that they need to up their numbers here, that they need to create engagement on-chain? Is there anything that they should be thinking about building, or any integrations? Are there any cheat codes maybe to kind of unlock those metrics?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. So if you think about the activity on the blockchain, so um, I would say, so first I would say most of the DF, I don't think the thing is necessarily need to go on chain, right? So I think nowadays, like you need to carefully think about why you are putting the data on chain. So I think this is the first step. Maybe a lot of projects like need to think about first, because putting things on chain, it also means like it's going to be a little bit inefficient, right? Because you need to go through the whole async process to get a transaction confirmed. You need to also need to pay for the gas fee, blah, blah, blah. So you need to first think about why and what's the value you are going to bring to the users when you put stuff on chain. And I would say if you can try to save the gas and try to, maybe try to don't do most of the stuff on chain as possible. But I would say the key thing here is you need to find the right thing to go on chain. And for us, it's about how you prove your data is being used and monetize the user properly. I think this is the key point why you want to use CARV. Because if you don't use CARV, the data, if your data being used, you have no, conscious, or you didn't recognize, oh, my data being used and how it's being used. And my privacy being preserved, right? So I think this is something we try to guarantee the user, hey, if we try to use your data, all the information is going to be visible on chain. So this is something we find, you have to go on chain. So that's why we choose to go on chain. And second thing is you need to find the best chain to work with, because today there's too many consensus layers out there. Depending on the consensus mechanism and the process, they have like different gas fee, different utility, different purpose. So you need to find the best engagement with like the on-chain activity. So that's why right now we work with like Roni, Linear, and all this like OPBNB, and they have like a very good amount of Web3 games on those chains. So that's why we can try to bring the value closer to the Web3 gamer, because they play like Web3 games on those chains. So that's why we bring the smart contract there. So I would say this is, maybe like bullshit, but case by case, right? So you need to find the best case for your project to see what's a value you can bring to the user. I think that's a key point. You need to find the value instead of just post like bullshit on chain. You need to maybe ask yourself like why you need to post those data on chain. So if you are clear about that, you're naturally going to see, the activity on chain is going to be boosted because people see the value there. For example, our CARV ID. So this is just an NFT, aggregate all your identity. So users, they mint the CARV ID so they can get the USDT as a rewards when their data being used. So that's why they are willing to CARV this NFT. So even though we are just charging like 0.5 USD, that already bring us like several million like revenue. So this is value can be seen by the users, so they will do it. And then we can also benefit from this and also benefit the business as well. So I think this is the key point, like you should identify the value to post things on chain, yeah.
Do you have any advice to games that are making a decision onto what chain that they would choose to build on? Is it a technical decision? Do you think it's more of a BD decision? Is it an economic decision? Where do you think that decision lies at the moment? Because like you said, there are so many different consensus models, so many different chains out there at the moment, and there's very little that seems to be distinguishing them from one another at the moment.
Yeah, so I would say it's complex. So there's not like short answer like you should go to this chain, right? So this is something like, hey, you should combine with all the, where the gamers are. So you need to find a place closer to gamer, and then the gas fee, because you need to understand like what type of games you are trying to bring the users on chain. Because like I said, not everything need to be on chain. So you need to find the right thing to be posted on chain, and you can see the value of those transactions. And you need to balance, the gas fee, etc., all the stuff. And also, why you need to bring the games on chain? There's also important thing about it is when we talk about GameFi is how you can create value for these games. You play the games, tap to earn, play to earn, or whatever the NFT and all the stuff. There's also need to be a marketplace of value from the thing you created. So you also need to find the right place to have the value of that kind of marketplace. So I would say it is a complex decision. So, but I can also see maybe in the future, all the different games, they will try to create their own consensus layer, right? So because right now it's super cheap. If you wanted to create your own consensus layer, you can do risk taking, you can do layer 2, blah, blah, blah. So I can imagine maybe at some point of time, there could be, a universal of the different like game chains. They try to have a dedicated chance to do other things for their own chain games, but also can connect all different chains together through some like underlying identity or data protocol like us or any other consensus layer, like layer 1 or layer 2. So I can imagine maybe this is going to be the future. So we will also would love to power that kind of future. Yeah.
It really seems like a lot of what you're building has addressed many of the challenges we've kind of thought there were within the ecosystem from an onboarding perspective, right? You guys now have account abstraction through a Google kind of authentication, so you can create a Google account, right? And link that up to your CARV account. Where do the challenges still lie for kind of a user acquisition perspective, from broader Web3 gaming perspective? What are they, and maybe why are they still so persistent?
Yeah, so I would say technical-wise, I think one challenge for us is like how we can unify those like Web2, Web3 users, how to bring Web2 user to Web3. Because right now we're still seeing those are like two types of users. Like Web2 users, they don't care about, just 0.1 USDT they got from the games, right? So they just, give me the best games you have, right? I wanted to share my experience. I think that's what they focus on. They don't care about their wallet. They don't care about the USDT. But there's also another type of like Web3 gamers. They care about, the return and all this stuff. They care about the activity and that kind of stuff. So this is maybe the challenge right now we have is how can we bring the gap? Try to make sure like both users will be happy with our platform with like Web3 and Web2 gaming. And that's one thing. The second thing is technical-wise, we also need to see how the blockchain ecosystem can power the games more. Even though right now I would say the infrastructure is good enough. You see like layer 2 recently tried to scale a lot, but I would say still not good enough for the games because it's going to be a massive adoption. So I would still love to see, technical-wise, we can bring more and more like support to the Web3 games. Also, I would love to see very fun Web3 games out there because I am the gamer myself. So I don't care about anything else. Just give me a very, good games I can play. I have fun. That's it. So yeah, a lot of different challenges, but I can see it's moving towards a very good way. So.
Maybe a question you might not know the answer to, but if you do, I think it would be really interesting. Well, two questions. One, for maybe a casual type game, so not necessarily a AAA game, but more of maybe a casual type game within the Web3 space. What is a normal kind of customer acquisition cost? What are games willing to pay to bring users into their ecosystem?
You mean Web3 or Web2?
Web3.
I would say Web3, it really depends. Because I think in Web2, right now for user acquisition, I think it's almost over several USD if you wanted to acquire a user. Especially like it's going to be harder and harder. In Web3, I think this is going to be a different story because in Web3 right now, user size is not as big as Web2. So I would say right now it's still very early stage when people are competing for the users. So I would say right now, people still are doing the different ways to try to do the acquisition. So at least right now, I don't know if that's confidential, but I'm not a business guy, so maybe it's okay for me. I think right now we charge like over $10,000 for a game to do acquisition on our platform, and there's a lot of Web3 games are willing to do so. And given our user base, I think it's still very kind of attractive to Web3 games to do acquisition in Web3. But I would say it's still early stage, people are still willing to pay, and then maybe there's more and more users come into this space, so we can see the story going to be changed. But I think right now, at least we are happy with that, so yeah.
Yeah, I think customer acquisition in general is something that's really being shaken up, right? I think Web3, it's always been a challenge because we don't have access to traditional distribution methods, right? But I think in the Web2 space, it's becoming increasingly important as well because customer acquisition through the Steam platform, through Google, through Apple, essentially requires a 20% rev share, right? You have access to the fact that everyone has the App Store in their pocket, but the flip side of that is that any distribution through there is a massive cost, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of innovation in the distribution, or at least I hope there is, and that's something that we're dealing with. We're powering kind of this cloud publishing endeavor, which I think is very cool. It's like the ability to click a link, be instantly inside a game, right? So instead of having to go to the App Store and download and install a game, we can host that game in the cloud, click a link, and you can play it in 1 second, right? Changes the way you distribute games, because all of a sudden you don't need to distribute people to a platform. You can just link them directly to a hosting of your game. But I think we're already a little bit over, but I wanted to quickly get one insight from you. CARV did a massive node sale. Aethir did a node sale. I know node sales are very interesting to a lot of people. If you had to give people maybe one or two pieces of advice with regards to a node sale, maybe one piece of advice on when you think doing a node sale is right, you know, what do the market conditions have to look like, and then maybe one lesson you learned from how you structured the node sale. If there was any feedback that you have there, like something that you think, if they could learn one thing about what you did, and you wanted to share it.
Yeah, okay, so finally, no sale. So yeah, it's an interesting topic. I think both Aethir and CARV, we have done, you know, the no sale before, and it was kind of a success. So we also, because we are doing the gaming platform right now, a lot of different Web3 games, they also talk to us, say, hey, they wanted to do the no sale, they wanted to get a boost from, you know, the project had already done so. So I would say right now, CARV also try to work with like Zai and also Aethir and also other no sale teams. We are trying to propose maybe something new for the nodes. I would say, personally, I feel no sale is very good technical-wise. It's a very good consensus build-up process. I would say it combines the advantage from both proof of authority and proof of stake. It doesn't mean like if you have money, you can dominate this like no sale market, right? But you also not purely going through like authority like process. So I would say this is going to be huge if you try to find a very good consensus layer to boost your decentralization process. So I think this is something has been proved through all different no sale projects, and for ourselves, we also use the nodes to boost the data processing process. So I would say if there's any future no sale projects, I would love to also come up with some idea, try to gather all the no sale projects together, try to create a, you know, a even better form of like a node ecosystem, and make sure like technical-wise everybody can benefit from this decentralization network. Also, economic side, everybody can be incentive to do so. But I think no sale is definitely something, one of the very good like way if you try to bootstrap your consensus layer. I think this has been proved as being a super success, and we're also willing to help with any project who is willing to do so. I think, you know, with Zai, Aethir, and other project here, we're going to have something like even more, one more step for the nodes. But regarding the market, I would say don't time the market, right? No one knows like when the market will come back also. But I would say the node stuff is something, if interested, definitely something like we can, you know, have another chat separately. But yeah, I would say this is a very good way to bootstrap your consensus layer. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's all time we have this afternoon. You heard it here. If you're doing a node sale, feel free to chat to CARV. Feel free to chat to Aethir as well. We help projects do node sales, so we'd love to help you guys. But thank you very much. Thank you for listening, and yeah, pleasure to be here.
Thank you.